you have not become a patron of the Geocache Talk Network, what are you waiting for? Patron levels start as low as a Bison Tube level at $3 a month. To sign up is easy. Simply go to the Geocache Talk website and click on the Become a Patron button, or go to patreon.com/Geocache Talk. Patrons now get the famous Blackout coin, invites to special events, and other really great items throughout the year. Become a patron today. Have you subscribed to FTF Magazine yet? FTF Magazine is the #1 geocaching magazine available. It is a quarterly magazine that you can be part of. Submit your geocaching milestones and adventures to be published. FTF Magazine is also interactive with puzzles to solve and a hunt to find Spartacus. If you can solve the puzzle or find Spartacus, then you will be entered in to win a special pack tag. Every new subscription, you will receive a special swag pack. Subscribing is easy. Just visit FTF's website, ftfgeo.com. Don't miss out and subscribe today.
Hello, and welcome to Challenge Talk, part of the Geocache Talk Network. We broadcast live on the first Thursday of each month. Feel free to jump over to YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter to watch the broadcast live and join the wonderful and active chat room, or listen to the entire show on your favorite podcast player.
In this episode, we'll be chatting about many different aspects of the Fizzy Challenge. We also have prizes to give away each show to our listeners. Between each show, be sure to email your challenge cache finds to challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com and you could be a winner.
And later in the show, we also play our special game exclusively for our live audience, the Wheel of Challenges.
Very nice.
So listen live, get your email app ready, and follow instructions when the time comes so you can have a chance at winning the grand prize, a 1-year membership to Project GC. And later on, we'll highlight some of the challenge caches that you've found, and someone will win our monthly giveaway. We are your hosts, Emily and Geoff from Cache the Line.
Hello.
So how has your month been? Have you been doing any challenge caching over November?
I got 3 challenge caches in November because I got to travel a little bit. So I got a lot of geocaching in because I got to travel. But I found the challenge I used for the Geo Challenge of the month was a guardrail challenge where you had to find 30 guardrail caches and then it was in a guardrail. But it was kind of funny. It was an old bookkeeping challenge. You just had to remember so there was no proving. You just had to remember which caches were hidden in a guardrail. And so I did. And then I also found one for finding 25 letterboxes and one called the Ella Oregon Challenge, finding at least 10 traditional caches in Oregon and logged 2 different caches with more than 1,000 favorite points each from Oregon. So it kind of, if you've been to the original stash, you've got this, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but someone put out a challenge about it. So
yeah,
basically
Oregon's...
I found caches that I already qualified for. So I wasn't really working towards anything, but I got to claim 3.
Well, technically, yeah, if you've already qualified, but you haven't found it, then you haven't really completed the challenge yet. Part of the challenge is finding the cache.
There you go. So I completed the find of 3 challenges.
Yeah, no, that's a lot. And especially Oregon, they've got, it's near the hub of geocaching, so there's bound to be tons with loads of favorite points.
Correct.
I started watching the Darker Shade on my Date Found grid.
Ooh, fun.
So yeah, if you know in your geocaching profile stats, your year grid, so dates of January to December from 1st to 31st, they jump a shade darker at certain numerical increments. Mm-hmm. So there's the darkest, or I think the next one up, is 26 finds per date. And so I've been working on the one below that, which is 11 finds per date. And there's still quite a lot of days that I don't have 11 finds per date yet. But I started in April, so I got to keep going until March. So that's going to still take up a lot of time and travel to do that.
Yeah. Do you think you'll be able to make it this go around, or will you have to go another year?
I think 11, yes. 26, I'm toying with whether I want to start working for 26 on every date starting January 1st.
Okay.
I don't know. I might wait until April again.
That sounds
It's
so
enough.
much fun. I can't possibly do numbers challenges like that, but boy, it sounds fun. I would love to do it.
Yeah, it definitely helps if you've still got loads of caches around you to find. So I'm also doing the challenge date year grid, so finding a challenge cache on every date of the year grid. And right now that takes a lot more effort because my closest qualified challenge is about 50 to 60 minutes drive from home.
Oh, wow.
And until March, there's at least half the days of the months don't have a challenge cache find. So it's a whole lot of traveling.
Okay, so I kind of was imagining you living in this challenge rich area. So I guess maybe not so much, or not that you have unfound.
Right. There's so the real dense portion near me is within that 45 to 60 minutes. There's Hamilton, Ontario, and Mississauga. Basically, that little golden horseshoe around Lake Ontario, I think it is. Yeah. And so there's a number of geocachers who are very challenge minded who keep publishing so many. So a lot of them qualified, but yeah, if I look at the challenge map, it's just this big hole around where I live because I've found them all or they're not there.
Yeah.
So it'll take a lot of work still. But, and there are a bunch of have you cached there challenges. So simplistically saying finding a cache in certain states. If you found a cache in this state, you can qualify.
So just like one cache.
Yeah.
Oh,
you got that one shaded on your map, you're good to go. And there's a lot of those.
I guess that shows how simple a challenge cache can be. Your ideas don't have to be extreme.
Yep, and it's one for the travelers. But yeah, for November's Geo Challenge, I because I've been finding so many challenges throughout November, I wanted to make one a little more special. So there was one challenge that was sitting on the map that was really bugging me, and that was to find a cache that was placed on every date of the year. So it's not that you have to cache on those dates.
The birthday challenge kind of thing.
Basically, yeah. Well, you need to find a cache that was placed on a certain month and a certain date, fill up that hole in the grid. And there was one date that I hadn't found any cache that qualified for that one because they also had to be of difficulty 3 or higher. Oh. Which it made it a 5. I think it's a 5 difficulty challenge. So you have to fill 365 days. Find a cache on all 365 dates of difficulty 3 or higher. And January 29th was the last one that I needed. And the only cache, probably within 200 kilometers of home, was one multi that was placed on a January 29th, and it was a 4.5 5 terrain multi. And so on the last day of November, I went out and made an effort to find that cache. And I live streamed the effort. It's a double 5. It's a multi, so it's a 5 terrain multi, which means at least 2 stages. So this one was 2 stages of 5 terrains.
Wow.
And it was just me, and I was like, I don't feel so confident doing this just myself. So I contacted the cache owner, and she came out and helped and watched and made sure that everything was good.
Good. That means I presume you found it if she was there. She made sure it happened. Good.
It was found and qualified finally. But push yourself. That's what I like to say.
Yeah,
safely, of course.
Fun.
But yeah, that was quite the adventure. But Geo Challenge complete. If you have worked on the Geo Challenge for November, then comment or post a comment, and we'll see how many people. Because, like we said last show, it was quite a nice coincidence that Joshua and Lisa came on to chat about the Geo Challenge, and then days later announce that the Geo Challenge for November was to find a challenge cache.
Right. And if you're a part of that Geo Challenge face group, then it was fun to see all the accomplishments all month long of the different challenges people were accomplishing.
That's right. It's good inspiration. So we also like to do a little bit of a review of the current challenge caching stats according to Project GC. And on their dashboard, they have a little box in the corner that gives a little bit of a technical overview of their stats. So, as of this afternoon, there are now 7,139 active scripts, which is up 117. And these are the little scripts that handle all of the challenge checker algorithms. So they could do a whole variety of parameters and everything, but individual scripts. That's still a lot of programming. We have 38,528 unique challenges, and those are different parameter sets. So, there could be 50 challenges around the world, all exactly the same. So they're individual listings, but they all use that same parameter set. So challenge concepts are up 271 from last month.
Nice.
And there are 47,304 active tags. So those are those individual checkers, one per GC code, and that's up 396. The thing to remember with these stats is that these are just the stuff that Project GC has. They're not necessarily active, published challenge caches. So we also like to show the geocaching website's search results for the number of active challenge caches worldwide, and that is up to 32,337, which is up only 81 since last month. And that's by attribute search. So if you're looking for challenge caches and you are a premium member, you can search for them by filtering for the challenge cache attribute. So it seems like it might have been a slow-ish month, but we've still got new challenge caches. So our topic for tonight, because we're getting kind of fizzy. Speaking of fizzy, I spilled my drink on my keyboard just before the show, so hopefully nothing goes wrong.
Getting kind of sticky tonight. But Geoff, we can't forget our news. We have a huge piece of news for this weekend.
Yes.
Podcast
that's right.
of Hope. So make sure you guys tune in this Sunday, starting at 4 p.m. Central, for 8 full hours of nonstop podcasting, broadcasting live, a whole lineup of amazing topics. We should just go through those, right?
Sure.
So we start with Christmas in England. Then we go to Adventures of A and K with Adam and Catherine. 6 p.m. Central, I think a huge draw for a lot of folks is going to be this hour. Richard Garriott and Mike Dubno, To the Stars and the Ocean. This Richard Garriott has hidden a cache in the ocean. And what is it? The Mariana Trench?
Yeah. So these are two exceptions to standard geocache listings.
Sure. And also in space.
Yes. So technically, he has hidden a geocache on the ISS, and technically, he has hidden an Earth cache or is it no, I think it's just an Earth cache in the Marianas Trench. And the difference with the Marianas is that there is something you have to find, something physical you need to find at the bottom of the ocean. And
I was saying that wrong. How do you say that? Marianas Trench?
I'm not quite sure. I Googled it before, and there are both ways, the Mariana Trench and Marianas Trench. They called it the Marianas Trench, so I'm just going to go with that.
So listen on Sunday and see what Richard says.
Yeah. Oh, wait, and I think I might have got them mixed up because the rainbow hydrothermal vents, that's the Earth cache with the thing that's at the bottom of the ocean.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Tune in.
There's two Earth caches at the bottom of the ocean.
Let them talk about it. They know.
Yeah. But the ISS, yes, is a physical cache. But if you were following Snag the Tag, which is another side game, they have a high and low theme following these two aspects as well. Low, of course, being the Marianas Trench, but the high is Mars because recently geocaching visited Mars with a travel bug.
Yes.
So that's as high as geocaching has made so far. And so lots of stuff to chat about with Richard and Mike. Yeah.
Right. And then the schedule continues with Joshua, the geocaching vlogger, for 2 hours. 1 hour welcoming geocaches as a lackey, new lackey at HQ. And an hour with Rich of the channel Kamakino. And then we go into Coins for Kids crew with Neil, Jason, and Craig. at 10 p.m. Central. The whole network will be on to play Jackbox with our audience. And we will end at 11 p.m. Central with Brian Roth, president and founder of Geocaching.
Yep, it is a absolutely jam-packed 8 hours.
It's going to be
awesome. We do
awesome.
this every year. We are fundraising for the St. Jude Children's Hospital, and this year the goal is to raise $10,000.
Right, that's the most important part of all this. It's super fun. It's 8 amazing hours, but it is for raising money for kids and their families and cancer research. It's an amazing cause. The research is shared around the world because it's so important. And so we just want to do our part in giving back. And that's what we've chosen to give back to every year. So please join us, donate, and have fun. There will be prizes for people who donate as well.
That's right. And if you want to know more, then you can visit geocachetalk.com/hope or podcastofhope.com. Those will take you to all of the information that you need, the links, the video, all of that.
Yep.
So hope to see you there because it's going to be a fun day. Not a long day.
A long, fun day. Yes.
Also, starting December 6th, we have a new Reach the Peak month. We are now heading to Denali. That is a mountain that sits at 6,190 meters altitude. And if you aren't aware, Reach the Peak is basically a monthly souvenir challenge that Geocaching HQ is giving us, where you can earn souvenirs for your profile by climbing, quote, the mountain to reach the top. So you find geocaches to earn points, and when you get to the top, you can earn these souvenirs. The benefit is the first cache you find in that month, you reached base camp.
Base camp souvenir.
All you got to do is find one cache, and that's the base camp souvenir. But this month we're heading up Denali, which is now just over 6,000 meters, which means that number of points. And they've chosen to focus on multi-caches this month, which earns you 750 points per find.
Yeah, so that's the cache with the most points, but many other all cache finds have points. It just goes down from there based on the type.
Right. And if you're curious about the point distribution, you can visit geocaching.com/play/leaderboard, and that will show you your friends' leaderboard. So if you have friends connected with your profile, then that'll show you all your friends' points. But you can also check out the breakdown of point distribution for what you can find to climb the mountain.
Yeah. I haven't climbed Mount Denali. Of course, haven't climbed any mountains, but I am in the 30% club for being able to see it because it's so frequently concealed. So if you're in the 30% club, let us know in the chat. I'd love to know who I'm in the club with.
That's right. And sometimes it's inspiring to see people get the points on the leaderboard, and sometimes it
makes you wonder what are these people doing? How do they have infinitely more points than I do?
Yeah. So the leaderboard hasn't updated yet. It's still at Kilimanjaro for November, but so far 75,625 is mine. There was a number of caches, but I mean, it highlights your first, second, and third, so gold, silver, and bronze, and your top 10, and then where you are. I'm down in 19th place of all of my friends.
I haven't even looked. I'm sure I'm very low. I have reached the peak, but I'm sure a ton of people have passed me. Karen says I need to delete a few so I'll look better. A few friends. That is one way to make yourself look better on your leaderboard.
That's how you can earn gold. Yes.
That's great.
So this month we're talking about the Fizzy grid. And it's probably one of the most common challenges that's talked about by people who are looking at statistics. It's the easiest and most fun to try to complete. If you aren't aware, it's just basically a 9x9 grid of the combination of all the difficulty and terrain ratings. And one Fizzy grid is finding all 81 DT combinations.
I still remember the day that I finished mine with a kayak cache, and it was just a wonderful feeling for that basic Fizzy grid. Yeah.
Yeah, the 5 terrains are some of the best in my opinion, some of the best experiences because they get you out doing more than, just necessarily hiking or finding lampposts. Like you're most likely you are using some other kind of mode of transportation, like a boat.
Having a real memorable adventure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So finding that Fizzy grid, finding your first Fizzy grid is just the first step, because these days it is, at least in my area, in my region, it's a growing popularity to create challenges of a much more filtered set of caches. So, for example, Fizzy grids of cache types. So only a certain type of cache. Or a Fizzy grid using only of caches that have a specific attribute. Or Fizzy grids within a certain region, like a county or a province or a state. And so it gets harder and harder with some of those. But at the same time, like we like to say with challenges, it gets you changing your game just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. A new focus, a new personal challenge.
Right. And so there are some strategies that we'd like to go over just to help figure out how to qualify for those. And, that's the other thing. Sometimes these challenges may take years to qualify, and sometimes you could do them within a month. That might even be a challenge in itself. But the fun part, again, is just setting that goal and working towards completing it. Mm-hmm. Especially when it gets you traveling and seeing new places. That's one of my favorite aspects of it.
Absolutely.
So I don't know if how dense of an area your region is, how much cache dense it is.
Yeah, so it's pretty cache dense, but I would say not with many terrain combinations. So we do have a guy on the I-5 corridor, Southern Douglas County, who, for that reason, started hiding some varying difficulties in terrains so that you could come in and complete a whole Fizzy grid in his area. So I use that to my advantage to get my second Fizzy loop on the traditional, just straightforward challenge. And so if I continue at it, I'll be able to fill that loop again, or get a third loop because of what he's hidden. So one guy has made it possible. That's what my area looks like.
And I think that's another helpful thing, because there are some cache owners that whether they, for statistical purposes, want to hide a variety or want to provide a certain experience, they will actually go out and try to hide as many DT combinations as possible.
Yeah. And even, once upon a time when I lived in Pennsylvania, there was someone, he didn't hide the whole grid, but he was looking at typical grids, his grid, some folks he knew, to see what are a lot of people missing in this area. And so just recognizing a need and filling that need.
Yeah. And, in a sense, it's like you earn the difficulty in terrain if the cache is there. And I think some cache owners might bump the challenge difficulty based on how many qualifiers there are. And I think some people might get upset if it's like they know that there's only 2 qualifiers within a 200-kilometer distance, so they bump the difficulty. But then some people go out and start placing caches to make it easier. So you never know. It's a good it's a good thing to watch for cache owners who like to do that, because chances are they're making some challenges a little bit easier to qualify for. But even when we're talking about things like cache dense regions, like you can look at the map and you can see where there's gaps and there's very few caches out in the countrysides, but then anywhere it's just so dense, there's no room, those are more like urban areas. And I think for the most part in urban areas you won't get a big variety of DT spreads.
I agree.
Because most of the time, they'll be in city parks. You might get a difficulty range because of things like
because of the muggle factor. Required. Stealth required, urban camo kind of thing.
But then if you look for things like some of these power trails, or in Ontario, we've got river trails, so you can find winding rivers, and those might give you a whole bunch of
that
higher
looks
terrains.
so beautiful. I would love to come there and do that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have a few geocachers and groups of friends who like to go out for day trips and place caches along our long stretches of rivers. And then we often go out in group days to go paddling or floating down the rivers and get as many as you can within a day. Very popular, and that really bumps up a lot of the more difficult, higher terrains.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, looking for power trails could be helpful. Themes or filtering for specific cache owners. Those are just things to start out trying to find where there could be varieties. The other thing now, though, with the advanced search, you can search for specific difficulties and terrains.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember in your profile stats, there's a link now to immediately jump to search that will show you all of the DTs that you need to complete your next Fizzy loop. But here, if you know that you need, say, a letterbox that, or let's say you needed 3, you needed a 2.5 difficulty with a 2 terrain and a 1.5 difficulty with a 3 terrain. Those are the 2 holes in your letterbox Fizzy. You can do that search and return all of the caches that you need to find. So it's a helpful way to find qualifiers, but it's still just one manner of searching. Yeah, it didn't actually return anything.
No results.
That was just random. So yeah, there are quite a few there's a variety of ways to do these searches, and everybody's got their favorites. But so yeah, you find something that works for you and add them to bookmark lists, get them on some, like download them to your GPS, do something like that, so that when you're out and about and you know that there is one that you need, you can find it.
Right.
Because you need it.
Always be prepared.
And I think another trendy thing that might be fairly regional, but you might have some in your area, are mini Fizzies. Around here, we have quite a few where, to make things easier for some people, the challenge is to find 9 caches that fit 1 terrain or 1 difficulty.
Right.
Yeah, so difficulty 1 to 5 of terrain 2 would be a mini Fizzy.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, kind of what we talked about in other episodes, maybe like a bronze, silver, and gold level type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're working your way towards the doability of the bigger challenge.
It's like bite-sized chunks of the Fizzy.
Yes, bite-sized Fizzy.
Hey, that's a good name. I like that one. But that way, at least, you can finish a mini Fizzy and get rewarded for it, and you know that you're one step closer. So it's a good way to get newbies or beginners to work towards a complete Fizzy, and you might be able to place more of those if, say, you're looking for a mini Fizzy of, I don't know, webcams.
Oh my.
Because those are so extremely rare, or another cache type that's extremely rare, you might not be able to place a full Fizzy challenge for something like that, but you could place a mini Fizzy. Those are still allowed. So you can look for those, and that'll put you closer and closer towards the Fizzy.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about those kind of mini Fizzies, and I have found a few of those in the past, and I like them. I think it's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. Now, we had gone to some places on social media to ask for places that you may know of that have a variety of difficulty and terrains for specific properties like cache types or attributes. And there were a number of places that people had suggested. And I think one of them is yours that you mentioned in Oregon.
I put that on there. So I mentioned it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I took a look at the map along the I-5, And I guess these are all published by, or not all of these on the screen right now, but FX Bill has published a number of caches along the I-5 in southern Oregon.
For that purpose.
Which is a good example of, go for a drive, follow some of the side roads, and I think it didn't look like there was a series name to them. But there could be...
he'll name like mini series of names, but he really didn't name them for the Fizzy. So you'll have to do the search by your terrain and difficulty, what you need.
Yeah, and it looks like there is a good variety of difficulties and terrains. A lot of these are high difficulty in the section that I'm looking at right now. But zooming out, you can see that there are little stretches, chunks along the side roads parallel to the I-5. And so if you're in Oregon, this could be a good destination, a good drive day.
And you'll get poison oak. That's what I have to be careful of with his caches. Happy to do them, except for that.
This would be a good example of finding traditionals to complete a traditional Fizzy. I think most people will find traditional Fizzy to be the easiest non-generic Fizzy to complete. And unknowns a close second. Because I think what happens is with unknowns, people will make GeoArts and shapes and to fill as many DT grids as possible. So I think those challenges that require Fizzies of specific types, the unknowns and traditionals are the easiest. Like, for example, it's been mentioned a few times before, Sodak Zach's 81 grid of puzzle caches.
Yeah.
in South Dakota near Sioux Falls. And these are, they've got tons of GeoArt there.
I love it.
But yeah, 81 mystery
really
caches.
Like how that's in a grid that looks like the Fizzy grid. That's just great. It's so
makes
simple,
it a lot easier.
It
you can pick it out of the crowd.
Us. Yep.
And similar to that, we've got the one that we had a show about a while back, Andrea and Koroleva's 81 grid, or 81 cube, which is an actual cube of unknowns shaped like a cube. And again, all puzzles and all of the difficulties and terrains are as accurate to the rating as possible. So look for those, because chances are people who want to complete a grid will be doing whole series. They'll be probably targeting series like this, and word will get out. So
right.
Yeah, watch social media for that too, because you could find probably quite a few series that will give you those Fizzies.
Yeah. I look at my statistics and you're right. The unknown is my second most Fizzy by type level of success. I'm not sure how I'm saying that there, but I have 48 out of 81 on my unknown grid with my traditional grid filled. So yeah, the unknown definitely is the next
you got your half grid.
Most frequent. I have a half grid, right?
Yeah. That's another easy quantity for people to aim for, is just a half grid. Now there is another location that is that was mentioned. There's 26 letterboxes. So again, this is kind of a roadside thing. And if you're trying to complete a Fizzy of letterboxes, you could look for something like this, a whole bunch of letterboxes all grouped together. And this one is a series of 26. It's not a complete one. So the idea behind this is that you're not necessarily looking for a set of caches that will give you all 81. You're looking for kind of clumps of caches that are similar, that have a wide variety, so that you can go there and find a whole bunch towards the Fizzy, instead of going searching and picking individuals all over the place to try to complete a Fizzy. It's a lot more efficient to pick a bunch off at the same time.
And I'll tell you what, this thought just popped in my head. It is so satisfying to log a cache and fill a box. It's so simple, but so satisfying. Just, one of those things that only geocachers get it, but it's true.
Yep. And so this little series of 26 was mentioned, and it, I believe, is in Ohio. I think it's south of the border there. Yeah. And so you could look that up. A North End, one of the caches, I think it's 26 letters of the alphabet, A to Z.
I was going to ask if it's 26. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, because they all seem to have different letters.
Yeah, they start with a letter there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, for example, the E letterbox is GC92H9H. So you could look that up for centering and then target that if you want to. So that would be working towards a cache type Fizzy for letterboxes. I think that's fairly simple. At least in my area, letterboxes are also fairly common. People are placing them at the posted coordinates rather than a classic letterbox, which isn't at posted, but you've got to follow instructions to figure out where it is. Mm-hmm. So we've got loads of letterboxes with dollar store stamps in them.
Right.
So it's almost as easy as a traditional Fizzy to complete, but there's far fewer letterboxes.
Oh, and that letterbox trail is in the state of Indiana.
Oh, so it's so it's in Indiana, west of the border. A multi Fizzy. This one, I think fundamentally a multi Fizzy is also a little more work because it's not just one cache. It could
right.
be multiple waypoints. And so this one, there's a series. It's a half Fizzy edition. So they've actually got 41 caches of different difficulties and terrains in this series.
Cool.
And yeah, it is. Where is that? It's a lot easier just to open the cache and look at the the listing. So that one is in Alberta, and it's just outside of, I think that's Calgary. No, that's Edmonton. And so you can spot this on the map. You can see all the colored icons in one big clump, kind of like a GeoArt. And I don't know if you'd be able to do half a grid in one day. Some people like to try that. But again, these seem to be roadsides, and I would guess that the posted and final are probably both on the roadside or nearby, like just off a trail or something. But I would hope that the terrain ratings would be relevant.
Accurate, right.
Yeah. It's all, see, and that's the other thing. It's more rewarding when you find a cache where you know that the terrain, you've earned the terrain.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people will place it just for statistics. Liar caches, for example, were huge.
Right.
Five difficulty, 5 terrain, and it's a lamppost. But you describe this outlandish experience finding it, and then everybody who looks is like, "What do you got to do for this one?" Oh, it's a liar cache.
Right.
But yeah, like when you complete a Fizzy of actual relevant difficulties and terrains, it's so much more satisfying.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, just like you said, it's those experiences. Our area has a lot of kayak caches, so I've had so many good experiences on the water for those high terrain searches. Yeah, it's satisfying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we have another mini Fizzy. This one is a Lost Cities series, and for this particular example, it is of terrain 4.5, and it's a GeoArt, which means they're all mystery, unknown caches, but they are all different difficulties and terrains. And for example, we've got, let's say the dot of the question mark of the GeoArt, Lost Cities question mark, is GC2FKAQ. And I haven't looked at the puzzles, but I'm apprehensive of those high difficulties. Let's see what the 2-terrain puzzle looks like for this series. The Lost City of Angkor Wat. It is in New Jersey. And it actually looks like a legit puzzle. There's a photo, an image, and somehow you've got to figure out the... So yeah, I guess all of these puzzles are relatively unique and probably fairly legit.
Cool.
So that's another idea. So looking for those series of portions of Fizzies can help towards completing it. But that's a set of caches. So that's not a mini Fizzy challenge. That's just a series of 9 geocaches to help complete a mini Fizzy. Now, recently, one of our local cachers has placed quite a few new ideas for challenge caches that are allowed. So we've got, for example, the Gruel Day of the Week Fizzy Challenge. Can you guess what it got to do for that?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I guess it sounds easy. But what is the word gruel?
So Carney Gruel is the owner of this one.
Okay.
He's one of maybe, if not the most prolific cachers in our area, and he's got, I think, 2,000 hides, something like that, and most of them are challenge caches, or half of them are challenge caches. So yes, in this challenge, GC8FQWR, here's another perspective of the Fizzy challenge, is to find all of the DTs to complete a Fizzy on
a Monday or on a Tuesday.
On each day of the week. It sounds hard.
Basically 7 loops. Is this one asking for 7 loops?
Essentially, yeah. If you have fewer than 7, you won't qualify.
Wow.
Because it's each day, right? So you need to
that is such a high demand. It would never get published here because no one would be near finishing that.
Yeah. Because the thing with this is I don't qualify for it yet. I think I've got 2 days that I still need. Yeah. So if you know which DTs you need on which day, then you can at least plan around that. You can say, I need this specific DT on a Thursday. And so you can say, okay, you can search for that DT and then plan. Thursday, I'm going out. This is my lunch trip or a night cache or something like that to get that and then qualify for the challenge. In this case, there can be any type, anything. It's just getting that DT on each of the 7 days in order to qualify. So that's not just filtering down. That is, like you said, it's 7. You have to have at least 7 Fizzy grids. There's no overlap.
Wow.
But days of the week is an allowable filter for challenge caches. So if you can somehow figure out how to apply that to another challenge idea, it's an allowable parameter. And so that checker is GC8FQWR. If you want to try to add that to your list of personal challenges to qualify for, whether you want to find this cache or not. Getting that, qualifying for that challenge means if anybody else places something like that, you'll be able to find it.
My first thought is I need to retire first and have all these Monday through Fridays free.
When he first published all of these day of week challenges, most people going through the checker, you're going to see huge high counts on the weekends because everybody's caching on Sunday and Saturday, not during the week. You either got to go to school, you've got to work. It's a lot harder to qualify for those. So it definitely posed a different type of challenge for people to qualify.
Yeah, to add caching to your weekday.
Yeah. And then there's also the attribute Fizzy. What I would love to see is Project GC providing a way of checking your attribute-specific Fizzy grids. So here, for example, we've got another one, the Fizzy Attribute Challenge for not available 24/7. It's GC86G4E. And in this particular one, same thing. You've just got to complete a Fizzy grid, so 81 different DT combinations of caches with that attribute. And this particular challenge is 78, not 81. I'm guessing it's 78 because maybe there weren't enough of some DTs to be a reasonably qualifiable challenge. So it's down to 78. But to complete that full grid, I'm 8 away. How much? Let's see how much Emily is.
My not available.
Not available 24/7. You are, not too bad, 38 out of 78.
Okay.
So that's pretty close. So again, this is something that if you're a premium member, you'll be able to search for caches with that specific attribute and then the specific difficulties and terrains that you need in order to qualify for that full grid.
Yeah. When I look at my statistics on my geocachingprofile.com, they have some of these attribute and cache type Fizzy statistics. I don't have any Fizzy full Fizzies based on attributes, but my highest one is parking available, 75 out of 81 grids.
Yes. I'm going to look at that because I'll load it up later. Like you said, being able to see that result is really helpful.
Yeah. The only problem is like it tells me I have 75 out of 81, but I don't know which 75 I have. So I'm going to have to go and either find a checker that exists about parking available so I can fill in the rest, or just start to do some work.
Yeah. Well, this leads into the next point. There are some checkers that have been written that will show multiple results. So, for example, this particular challenge, the 9x9 DT Fizzy challenge, is to complete a full grid using a combination of a whole bunch of different properties and types. But the checker's results show you the breakdown, which is extremely helpful.
That is so nice on Project GC.
Yeah. So in this particular case, the one that's first shown is the mixed grid, which is what's needed to qualify. And you've basically got to have 9 of each parameter, of each qualifying parameter to fill the 81 grid. And so then it breaks it down and says, okay, these are the ones that you have. So the script behind this to determine if you qualify is just nuts. Mm-hmm. But you get this breakdown. But the most useful thing is that it shows the individual cache types and those DT grids. So I often use this one just to get a view of how far along each type is.
On types. Mm-hmm. That's a good tool. I have used checkers in that way too. They didn't tell me, they weren't the checker for what I was looking for, but what I was looking for was smaller and fit into the checker to give me my information.
Right. And for this, there are 2 different checkers that I use, because this particular one for this GC code has one parameter for having found caches with at least 500 favorite points. That's one of the requirements. So it does list all the other cache types, but has the 500 plus favorite points Fizzy grid as well. And that's GC7C42P. The other one is pretty much the same thing, except it doesn't have the 500 plus favorite points. It has the webcam Fizzy grid. So this one, you'd scroll down and the results look a little different, but this one at least gives you your count as well. So you can see your traditional Fizzy grid. You can see your unknown Fizzy grid with all the counts. And then the holes for multis, letterboxes, where it goes, earth caches, virtual caches, and webcam caches, and events. So this one's a little more useful, I think, because it's all cache types. And it shows you the actual quantities of each in the DT grid. So that's one to bookmark if you want to quickly find out what your cache type breakdown is. If there is a tool that somebody has that can immediately and quickly show you your breakdown of Fizzy grids for cache types, I'd love to know. We would include it in the description links, references, because I think that would be super, super helpful.
Oh yeah, these tools can really help. They can inspire. Tools are great. When you have the right tool, you can get things done.
Yeah. Project GC's profile stats do have some links to some of their tools, and they can be helpful, but I was just taking a look at it myself today to check out the Fizzy tool. And yeah, if you scroll down, once it all loads and get to the Fizzy grid, all right, I passed it. There is a link to view a breakdown. So there is a DT matrix tool, and it seems at first glance like this should be showing your DT matrix with the filters that you choose, but it's not actually doing that. This is legitimately looking at your complete finds DT grid, and if you add a filter, it just shows you qualifiers. So in this case, if you just do a basic filter, what it's doing is, with my parameters, I've got me, Canada, and Ontario, and if I do the filter, oh, there we go. There was a technical problem. It shows you your current DT matrix. So this is always going to be the same regardless of your filters. And it shows you which difficulties and terrains you need. But then it uses the filters to tell you where the qualifiers are.
Nice.
So this tool will only be good for completing a general overall your next Fizzy loop or two. So yeah, if I wanted to do, say, an Earth Cache Fizzy grid, I could add a filter, cache type, Earth Cache. But if I filter it, the result says no caches with the selected criteria, because what it's trying to do is show me only the DTs that I need for the general Fizzy, and there's no Earth caches of those DTs.
Okay.
So it's not as useful. It would be useful if they allowed you to show specific what the results of the DT Fizzy grid are for the filters you've chosen.
Mm-hmm.
That would be amazing. I would love that. Hey, Project GC.
Give us a Christmas present. Man, Project GC is so amazing. We still have so many more topics to cover through it. It does more than I ever would know. I am not prolific about it. That's a great feature.
Yeah, it is crack for stats junkies.
Yeah, there you go.
If you can parse the data, you can do it somehow. You just got to get somebody to write the script. The last one that I was going to mention was one checker that breaks down basically, well, this particular challenge, you have to have a half grid over 5 states, but the results will tell you if you qualify for that. And I think this particular script, see, a lot of challenges will use the same scripts and give you similar results.
Mm-hmm.
So this particular one, the results I don't find as helpful because in this one I've got, it's hard to understand how it tells you your results. So the challenge is to find a half grid in 5 states. And the result says, haven't found any groups of 41 or more different. So I have 0 out of 5. In other words, I haven't completed any. But to continue working on the challenge, try adding additional DTs to the following 2 regions for which I have 38 difficulties and terrains. So in this case, it's only showing the 2 closest qualifiers, Michigan and Ohio, and listing the DTs not even in order. But, at least this will tell you how many states you've got half a grid in. So it can be useful for checking, but one of the things with challenge caches is, again, you can find challenges all over the world. So if you can find a challenge for what you're trying to find results for, you can run the checker.
Right. And
if it's a good checker, you'll get the results you need, even if it's not specifically for that challenge. You could use it elsewhere.
Right.
So.
I used the checker in that way when I was determining in my area, do I have enough cachers who have found this cache? So I found a checker that had enough of what I needed in it, where I could get that information quickly by punching in a bunch of my peers' names and learning that information based on the results.
Right. Oh, so Cache Canada has said on the main page of that Fizzy, pick the upper right corner. It flips through the 6 different grids. I seem to recall something, and I was trying to remember exactly where it was. So looking through the Fizzy grid. Oh, right. Yes. So that's right. So on your Project GC stats, if you go to the difficulty terrain chart, that little section in the top right that doesn't look like you can click it, it doesn't look like a button, you can, and it'll cycle through the different cache types.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So that's the other quick way to get to your cache type Fizzy grids.
Thank you, Cache Canada.
Yeah, good reminder on that one. And I think so. It doesn't do all of the cache types: traditional, multi, mystery, letterbox, where I go, Earth Cache, virtual, and that's it. So it doesn't do them all, but it gives you a good instantaneous breakdown of your cache types. So good. I knew it was somewhere and I couldn't remember where. They need to make that look like it's clickable.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, if you guys in chat or if you're listening or watching this after the show, Let us know if you've got other strategies for finding qualifiers or for qualifying, because any tool that we can share that makes things easier would be super helpful to everybody.
Yeah. And I think even another angle on Fizzies is a lot of your hides, if you just think about it, you could find a way to notch up the difficulty. Terrain's subjective, but to where you're actually going to hide it. You can't really bump what isn't bumpable. But you can really think about what can I do to this cache to maybe make it something a little more unique, a little more difficult, a little more something. And then boost those combinations in your area with what you're hiding.
Yeah. And Cache Canada just also said, not one person in the world has completed all 6 of those grids as displayed by Project
All
GC.
right. Who's the first person in the world? We will have you on our show.
I think, if I recall, there's only a very small handful of people who have completed a full Earth Cache grid, Fizzy grid. I know Cache Canada's been working on that, and I think there's 1 or 2 left.
Cache Canada, have you made it yet? Do you know if they did?
And they're going to be on Podcast of Hope for a little bit as well, to chat about things. So watch for that.
That's so cool. What a great angle to be so specific on a Fizzy grid. I love it. 4 away. Cache Canada says they're 4 away from a full Earth Cache Fizzy.
Yep. It's a tough one to complete. So, so again, email us, especially if you have any tips and comments and ideas, so that we can share with the community and make things easier for everybody. And you can email Challenge Talk Podcast. Oh, there we go. ChallengeTalkPodcast@gmail.com and let us know. Another comment.
Yes. So Jim Stark says GSAC allows you to filter on anything, and there is a macro to analyze Fizzy grid completeness at any round. So yeah, that's another tool that I am even less adept at using is GSAC. But those of you who know GSAC know that it has a lot of capabilities as well.
Yeah. No, if you think Project GC is powerful, GSAC is basically everything in the palm of your hand. It's a local application that you'd run. It's a Windows application, and you basically download your entire geocaching career into a database. And if you're a programmer, at least, you can do whatever you want with it. So any manner of parsing statistics you could do, because you've got tools like exporting to other applications and all that. So, but it's also fairly user-friendly in that people will write macros that you can just download and install into the application and run them and get the results you want. And so that's GSAC, Geocaching Swiss Army Knife, and it's no longer being updated. It is, I don't want to say obsolete because it's still extremely useful, but it's in its final state. The programmer isn't updating it anymore. Maybe somebody else will come along and make a new version, but it's been around for quite a long time, and it is super powerful. Highly recommended if you are at least somewhat technically minded. It's the advanced statistical analysis tool.
Well, on the note of fizzies and knowing how many different fizzies there could be, how many different angles, let us know what you're going to work on. I think looking at my own statistics in my geocaching profile, not only do I see the how close I am to finishing by some attribute types, but I see that in my regular fizzy of any different type at all, I have 80 out of 81 in Oregon. So that's just one more cache that I need in my home state to fill an Oregon fizzy. So that is so doable. So
that's awesome.
Let us know what you're going to work on to maybe fill a certain unique type of fizzy or even finish your fizzy grid for the first time. We want to know about it.
Yep, because this is also the last challenge talk of 2021.
Yes, so this is a good New Year's challenge, New Year's resolution for you guys, for our audience.
Yeah, we want to pose it to you guys for 2022's challenges. Work towards either completing a Fizzy or some variant of Fizzies. And so whether it's type Fizzies, attribute Fizzies, location Fizzies, we want to see you try to get all fizzy.
I don't know how to be fizzy. I don't know how to physically show fizzy.
We need a can of pop.
Yeah, exactly. I should have grabbed one.
So again, we love to hear from you. Email challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com and let us know how you're doing. We love to hear your challenge caching progresses, and we will certainly come back to the Fizzies in the new year and see how people are progressing. Because who knows, it might be super difficult for you to complete just one general Fizzy in your stats. Mm-hmm. But it might be super easy, and you might have a Fizzy of 5 different types and loads of different attributes. Because around here, we've got attribute Fizzy challenges out the wazoo. So everybody's working on those. So whatever you're able to work on, let us know, and we'd love to highlight it.
Absolutely.
I think it's time that we get to our Wheel of Challenges, or
Wheel of Challenges.
I have to use that sound.
You have to use it. It's wonderful.
So one live viewer each month will be selected to face off against the wheel and have a chance to win the grand prize, which is a 1-month premium membership on Project GC. To enter, send us an email with the subject containing "spin me" followed by your geocaching username in brackets and the answer to the following question. The first verified user gets the wheel, and your profile will be checked live on the show. And if you qualify, you win. So, here is your question for December 2021. I'm turning into Kirk. How many hours long is the podcast of hope? Come on, people. This should not be a hard one.
Yeah, we've got our tried and true listeners in the chat tonight. We should have some answers quickly.
We thought we'd make it an easy one for the last show of the year. But hopefully we will have a lot of donations. It will be a busy Sunday.
Last year I remember it was just so exciting watching throughout the hours how our donation amount ticking up and then hitting our goal is just so incredibly exciting on a day already so exciting that you're sharing with your geocaching friends with some really great topics. Yeah. It's a day for us and for the kids. I love it.
And be sure to stand up a few times if you're sitting down.
Yes. No blood clots.
So we've got quite a few answers coming in. Knew this would be an easy one. The first one with the correct answer is Cache Addict Mel. The answer is correct. 8. It is 8 hours long.
8 full hours. All right, great. Let's spin.
It ends at 1:00 a.m. in my
Your
time.
Ooh.
Oh, it's going to be a long day. So we have the Wheel of Challenges. That might be early, but yay for getting the correct answer. Okay, so Cache Addict Mel. I am going to remember how to, because I remember looking at your username and it's spaces and dashes and periods and okay, I think I've got it right. Anyway, spin the wheel. What do we have? Oh, 5 difficulty. The well-rounded Cacher Fizzy Challenge.
Couldn't be. We did not plan that.
No, but that's perfect. And this is a good topic. This is the California Fizzy. This is the infamous old Fizzy. Oh, it's currently disabled. It maybe hasn't been enabled yet. It was disabled in August of 2020. Oh, that was because of the forest fires last year.
Oh.
So I wonder if the owner is going to be going back to make sure it's in good condition. But this isn't about whether it's findable. This is about whether you qualify. Mm-hmm. So now I think which one. This isn't the one. I don't qualify for the California Fizzy yet, so this can't be the correct checker. So we're going to load up this Project GC checker. The reason why this is such an infamous one is it is a very old grandfathered Fizzy challenge. It's the very first one that was published, April of 2007, April 6th. The twist to this is that you've got to complete a Fizzy, but you can only use caches that are published before this cache was published. So
nothing new
counts. And you have to have, I think it's at least one of these cache types each, and I think that's right. And all oldies. So all 2000 to 2007 published before April 6th to qualify. And these ones, this is the type of cache that is, well, it's no longer allowed, and it gets harder and harder to qualify for, because if there's no new qualifiers, as the oldies get archived, the chances of qualifying get thinner and thinner and thinner. So there are tools and there's ways to easily find qualifying caches for this, but this is another one that you want to try to qualify for as soon and quickly as possible. And I don't know how close you are to this. I'm one cache away.
I am really curious. I'm looking that up right now.
Right now, it's about Cache Addict Mel. So let's load up that Project GC checker and make sure we got this right. Cache Addict -Mel. There she is. Okay. Drum roll, run checker. But, oh, there we go. Now. Timing. No, not quite. I think that looks like maybe around a quarter of the Fizzy grid complete. But close. There is a new goal for you to work on.
There you go.
Looking for specific DTs placed before 2007, April 6th. I think there might be bookmark lists that people have created with all of the remaining qualifiers. Because there's so few of them, that would be a great place to start. Let me just double check. So if we bring up GC11E8N, that is the California Fizzy. Is it in? So there's loads of bookmark lists. It's in 92 different bookmark lists. And if you load up the list, there's probably, we're not going to scan through the whole thing, but there's probably at least a few that have all of the remaining qualifiers for the challenge. There's one here that has, I saw that had 992, 307. Oh, there was a, where did it go? 992 U.S. challenge caches for the require. No, maybe not. Anyway, that's something you can look at as well to try to qualify for this Fizzy challenge. Yeah. Oh, there's so many lists. So, too bad. Not this time, Cache Addict Mel. But if you work at it, maybe next time, and you get that 5 difficulty, you could qualify.
Let us know.
Oh, that's a tough one. So we also, every month, like to give a congratulatory shout-out to listeners who email us a proof of qualifying and logging a challenge cache since the last show. And anyone who sends an email to challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com with the GC code with a found it log, including a photo if you'd like to share, for that month will be entered for the prize giveaway for a Challenge Talk Geocoin, which I have right over here.
Mine's in my display back here.
Right there. The beauty. The big chalice. That's the word. The chalice. The reward. And that will be heading to you if you qualify, or if you're randomly picked from submitting a challenge. So, first off, we've got one sent in from Merlin1392. It is GC5JGB0. Now, this cache seems like it could be, maybe a simple one for some people. It is a year of Earth caches challenge. So in this particular challenge, you must have found 50 Earth caches in 1 calendar year.
Okay.
That seems reasonable. But 50 Earth caches. I mean, if you look at the map close to home, that could be hard for some places.
Could be hard. Mm-hmm.
Unless you do a lot of traveling. But the nice thing about this is he said he found 81 in the past calendar year. So he qualified and a bit.
Awesome.
I wonder if those were 81 different DTs. No, definitely not. He also found 46 challenges this month. That's probably thanks to the Geo Challenge.
Wow, that's super awesome.
That's
Love
huge.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, was that a power trail or was that just going out and finding random challenge caches? So good job, Merlin 1392. That's in Van Buren, Michigan, in the U.S. It's 3 difficulty. Yeah, I can see that. That seems reasonable, in my opinion. 1.5 terrain. The terrain isn't as relevant because that could be anything, really. Mm-hmm. And it was placed in 2014. So post-moratorium. Next up, we have one sent in from Runner Cacher. And this is GC8RYVV 325 Travel Challenge Silver. And this particular challenge, you need to meet the qualifications and to have found a cache in at least 25 states.
Okay.
The reason why I thought this was kind of funny was because Bloody Cool sent in a challenge as well. And it was GC8TEAC, which is the 3525 Travel Challenge Ultimate, which is to have found 25 states, caches in 25 states and 25 countries.
Ooh.
So Runner Cacher and Bloody Cool kind of both worked on 2 different difficulties of this same challenge.
Of the same challenge. Love it. That's really neat.
Silver was 25 states. Ultimate is 25 states and 25 countries. When I saw the silver, I was curious. What could gold be? I think Ultimate is the maximum of the series. I think, I'm not quite sure what the wording is kind of vague. It says in either 3, 5, or 25 counties, states, and or countries. It's one of those.
What? Either 3, 5, or 25? That means I could qualify with 3?
Yeah, this is a new series in the 3, 5, 25 travel series. The series rewards the geocacher who has taken the opportunity to travel and find caches. Each of this series requires finding a geocache in either 3, 5, or 25 counties, states, and or countries. So, without looking up, I guess, the series of challenge caches, they're probably just variations on those numbers. And this one being Ultimate, you have to look at the first paragraph, which says you must have found a cache in at least 25 states and 25 countries. So, this is another reason why you've got to read the description. and over a fact, a lot of people kind of skip the instructions and just use the checker.
Yes, that helps.
It's a lot easier that way. Next up, we have one sent in by Kitty Catch. It was GC9FD42, which is 3 oldest in 3 countries challenge.
Nice.
And this is in Australia. Published in August, so pretty much brand new. Mm-hmm. To qualify for the challenge, you must have found 3 of the 10 oldest active caches in at least 3 countries. I like this variation. I like that. Because it gives you a little bit of flexibility, and it's not specific dates, so there's always going to be 10 oldest in any region, but you only need to get 3 of the 10. So in this case, you need 9 caches, 3 different countries, with 3 of the 10 oldest in each.
Player's choice.
Yeah. I thought that was a nice little variation on not quite a Jasmer, but finding the oldies. And it gets people out there. And this is Australia. So most likely people finding this in Australia are probably thinking Australia, New Zealand, and somewhere else.
And a trip to Mingo.
So that's 4 difficulty. Tasmania, Tasmania, the country, right? Yeah. No.
I don't want to speak what I don't know.
I can't remember. Oh, it's shameful. Geography class. That was so long ago. Next up, we're getting back into some fizzy stuff. We've got one from J-Man, and it is... Kitty Catch also said something about that challenge. She said, I love the old caches, and I'm hoping this challenge encourages cachers not only travel, but to hunt out those special old finds. Because a key element that I missed mentioning is that 3 oldest in 3 countries challenge is placed by Kitty Catch. It is her cache.
Yeah, cool.
So that's a great idea. Obviously, I like it. We like it. Great idea. So, yes, next up, J-Man with the PBC 25 Fizzy Challenge Beginner. So it's a 3 difficulty, published in 2020 in Maine. Another Purple Bison Challenge.
Purple Bison. I was wondering what PBC would have been.
Another big series of challenge caches. The challenge requirements for this, using the difficulty terrain grid, find at least 9 caches in a horizontal line in one single difficulty, or vertical line, or diagonal direction. So this is kind of one of that mini fizzy concept. Mm-hmm. Instead of a full grid, you're just finding a line of something. So 9 caches to qualify. So that was a good one, and that's a 3 terrain, so not too hard. And again, this is an example where the difficulty might be rated regionally. So as a 3 terrain, it sounds like they've got a decent spread of difficulty terrain combinations in that area to make it not too hard to qualify.
Yeah. Fun.
Next up, we have one from Starcacher. This is GC41TQ8, the 60% Fizzy Challenge, all 4.0 and below. So again, kind of like a mini Fizzy, or not a full Fizzy, or a percentage, however you want to look at it. This is actually looking for a specific segment of the grid. In this case, everything rated 1 to 4 of difficulty and terrain. I know we had an Earth Cache challenge kind of like this, where because it was a lot harder to obviously get the higher difficulties and terrains for Earth Caches, there was a mini Fizzy Earth Cache challenge where it was up to, I think it was either 3 or 3.5, because that could be filled in our region. So similar, I guess, in their area, this is the next best way to qualify or get closer to a full Fizzy. And again, this is all cache types, all properties, so it's just a general DT Fizzy grid.
Good.
So,
cool.
Lots of these. Send in your Fizzy challenges. This next one, I have to show this because I just love this. Whoever created this series, good on you. Look at the names. So this is a few caches sent in by Gary of the GBs. Mm-hmm. And let's say, for example, there's a few Fizzy ones in here, but let's say we have GC58R2K, or 85R2K, 85R2K. A Fizzy in less than... I lost the accent.
You can get back to it, do it.
A Fizzy in less than an hour challenge. A Fizzy in less than an hour challenge. I've got to work into it.
There you go.
Southern accent here. Fizzy in less than an hour challenge. That's getting a full Fizzy with only the doing under 60 minutes attribute. But I love this series because look at the titles. It's like, I hope you are feeling regular for this challenge. Probably getting a Fizzy for all regular sizes. Or maybe 2000 isn't just 33 minutes and 20 seconds challenge. or another one that he sent in, GC865BW, finds us some of this Fizzy Smalls challenge. And look at that one. Let's open it up. It is GC865BW. finds us some of this Fizzy Smalls challenge. Gotta read it the right way. So the whole series is like this. Wanted sign. You gotta look for the challenge right down here, right here. Wanted one Fizzy of any type, but container size must be small.
Love it.
Totally forces you to read it in the way you gotta read it, in the way to see it. I love it.
Very well done.
So, big thumbs up to the owner. I mean, this is one big image. There's no text, so that might upset some people because you know sometimes text is easier. But graphically, great theming. Yeah, love it.
It's wonderful.
And placed by Stony Brook. Probably the whole series, I think, in April 2019. But I mean, you just want to read through all of these titles. You can't read it without doing the accent. Some of these words I'm not quite sure about, though, but, whatever. So, yeah, good job. 2 thumbs up for that series.
It's fun having fun with your, fun with all your details.
Yeah.
You can name caches anything. I know sometimes these challenges come through, and I don't have a clue what that challenge might be until you get to the description. So it's part of the fun.
Yeah. So there was a whole lot of challenges sent in this month. So awesome, good job, everybody who qualified and sent in. We love to hear from you. So once again, make sure that you go out every month, find some challenges, put yourself or set goals from yourself. And let us know, sending an email to challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com. And your challenges and your qualifications may get highlighted in the show. But we got to choose the winner. And the random winner selected just before the show, this month's winner is Gary of the GBs.
Woo, congratulations.
Woo. So, you have won, and we will get your information to get you the Challenge Talk Geocoin as soon as possible. And hopefully the delivery system will be friendly with it. I know I've been ordering things recently, and they've been taking either forever or they've been canceled, going back. It's kind of frustrating right now. So hopefully
I've learned that out
right.
for delivery does not mean you're getting it today.
You. So one other thing that I'd like to highlight every show is the one of the challenges that I put out just before the moratorium began, and that's the Ironman Bingo Challenge. It is a pre-moratorium challenge, so placed in 2012, using rules that you can't use anymore post-moratorium. And this is basically your standard bingo grid. It is a 5x5 grid of a whole bunch of other consecutive streak caching challenges. The fun thing is these are specific properties, like finding 25 days with a find difficulty 3 and under, or 10 days of letterboxes. That's probably not as hard these days. Or 3 days, consecutive days of UV light required. One of the reasons why these challenges are no longer possible to use, or this style of idea, consecutive day stuff, is because, if you start doing a streak of 20 days of one difficulty and one terrain, and for whatever reason you break the streak, you have to start over. But you can't use the caches that you just found again.
Right. So you just used up your resources.
Yeah, you can't go back. So it makes it a lot harder to qualify for streaks this filtered down. Mm-hmm. But this is pre-moratorium. These were different rules, including the rule that you now have to qualify for your own challenge.
Before you can hide it.
This is a challenge that nobody qualified for when it was placed. Did I have, I think... Oh, because it was a streak, I don't think there was a date restriction on this. I think if you already qualified for some streaks, then you could already claim it. Oh, no, only caches found and logged after February 26, 2012. So it was also date restricted. So this is legitimately...
You're harsh.
From this date on, This is the challenge for everybody. So yeah, it was a lot harder. It's the type of challenge that's a lot harder for veterans who've cleared out their areas and a lot easier for beginners who still have everything available to find.
Spread the
There's an
word
imbalance
to your
there.
beginner friends of all the things that they can possibly accomplish if they get strategic right away.
Mm-hmm. So what I've done is for this challenge, for people who complete it, I'm rewarding a geocoin, which is still on its way, still working on it, for people who complete special shapes or complete the full card. And so I've decided to extend that challenge to the general internet public. So if you are able to complete the full grid, if you can complete this entire challenge, so not just a line, but the full grid, then I will send you one of those geocoins as well, posting that to our Challenge Talk community. But for updates since last month, nothing just yet. I know there's still people working on it, but there hasn't been any posting yet. I like to say, if you're working on this, let me know. Post a note, share your progress, and maybe it'll encourage other people to keep working on it as well. That is our episode. There's still going to be tons of stuff. So if there's anything that we missed or anything that you want to offer, then let us know. But these topics, they never end.
The conversation's always open, right? There's just so much to say.
Yeah. So thank you if you're in chat. We see your comments. Sometimes there's so much going on that it's hard to pick out good stuff, but I know it's there. So thank you for being in chat, for joining us live. And if you're listening, thank you for continuing to follow our podcast. Reminder for Sunday, make sure that you tune in Geocache Talk to Podcast of Hope and get some food, get some drinks, get some friends.
Yeah, I think this would be fun to sit down with your family or whoever and chill with geocaching.
Yep, and get some money and donate. We've got prizes every hour. One of the strategies some people use is to donate a little bit each hour just to get into each of the prize draws.
Every drawing,
so.
Right?
Lots of strategies. Our next show, the next Challenge Talk, will be in 2022.
Crazy.
It is the first Thursday of the month, which is January 6th. So mark it on your calendar.
We'll see you then.
Our show notes will be posted shortly after this show airs in the video description on YouTube. So if you're curious about some of the geocaches mentioned and some of the checker links and all that, they'll be there. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And remember, it's not about the numbers. It's about the challenge.
Challenge accepted.
See you guys later.
Good night.